everyone, it's me, Margaret, here to tell you about Melvin's Macabre manga! Yay! At a Meat Canyon store and pre-order today! Sale ends January 1st! Yay!
Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? How you doing? Coming up and sitting down because today we're talking about animals. You know, unlike men, animals don't have biases. They are all a part of the animal kingdom and they do what animals do. Isn't that right? Unlike man, people bitch, they argue. And you know what? They start wars. The wars aren't cool, okay? They're kind of lame. But sometimes, man stretches its little disgusting paw out and it infiltrates the animal kingdom to help himself in war. We're talking about animals in warfare today is pretty much what the video is. How humans have used animals to conquer wars, finish battles, anything that pertains to man trying to overcome its enemies using puppers and cute animals. We boop their snoots, fur babies, like chimpanzees. I ain't cute about any of those motherfuckers. Rip your off and break your legs like it's nothing.
Rip your off too.
Oh, absolutely. Rip your off. Which we wanted to start off with something that you may have heard before. War pigs. You know, back in the day, war elephants played a huge part in ancient warfare, almost serving as a tank to intimidate armies and break through enemy fortresses. You ever see the movie Alexander? They said Alexander was gay. I don't know if that's true. Is that true?
That's what they say.
Right, Colin Farrell sucked that guy's. He's like, okay.
He sucked the Joker's.
Did he suck the Joker's Batman?
Doesn't he date, what's his face? The guy who plays Joker?
Colin Farrell dates the guy who plays Joker?
In Alexander, yeah.
Oh, Jared Leto. Yeah. I thought you were talking about in real life. I was like, what? Anyways, it became so prevalent that in 266 BC, ancient Greek and Roman soldiers had to create unique countermeasures to the increase of war elephants utilized in warfare. Can you imagine that many elephants walking around? I'd like to see them now. I'm kind of bummed that they're basically extinct, right?
Elephants?
Elephants, aren't they? Or endangered species list. Yeah, they're basically extinct. Elephants, while effective as battlefield tanks, were also prone to panic under certain conditions, which would often lead them to lose control and trample their own side. They get a little scared, and then they would just squash other people like bugs. During the siege of Megara, war elephants were brought into battle by the Macedonians, but this time, the Megarians came prepared. It was believed that the squeals of pigs would frighten elephants. What do you think they did? They were like, and they just all like, and they like ran off, and they're like, my God. So they gathered all the pigs they could, covered them in tar, and set them ablaze before releasing them towards the opposing army, towards the siege of elephants. Man, that must have smelled delicious though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, that must have smelled great. You're like, that's my Folgers commercial. Screaming pigs, fire and stuff, and I'm just like... The pigs squealed in pain and ran frantically along the battlefield, causing the elephants to freak out and run off, trampling their own soldiers in the progress once again. Can you imagine being fucking stomped by a giant elephant? That would suck, dude. I mean, okay, first off, duh. But I just mean, like, out of all the ways you could have died, like, back then, an arrow to the fucking throat. Actually, I don't know. Would bleeding out through an arrow in your neck be worse than getting stomped by an elephant? I mean, you probably wouldn't instantly die. You'd be like, they do you like an accordion, and you'd be like, yeah, because that's what happens in Tom and Jerry. You'd hold up a sign. This seemed like an effective tactic, but oftentimes, the flaming pigs were self-defeating as they would be lit only to immediately run frantically back to their own armies. They'd be like, and then they'd run back and be like, no, no, and then do you think that pigs, I'm not a scientist, pig gas, is that a thing? Did they pop? Because this is the whole, well, I guess it's dead bodies.
I was gonna say, you know, you get a pig all drunk, fill it with...
You get a pig liquored up?
Yeah.
Yeah, here's my wife. If you took dead pigs that had been dead for a bit and then lit them on fire, threw them, would that be a bomb?
Yeah, that'd be a bomb.
Pig bomb. Should have done a pig bomb. But going forward, the Macedonians, who acquired their elephants from the Indians, had to insist that they raise the elephants alongside pigs in order to make them less reactive to their screeches. As elephant populations declined, they stopped being utilized on the battlefield as well as the pigs. So basically, as soon as they sealed away the elephant warfare, they're just like, okay, we can stop lighting them on fire, I guess. You know, there was one guy who was just like, why? Why? Or to keep on the lighting something on fire method, why don't we talk about flaming monkeys? The tactic of lighting an animal on fire and throwing it at an enemy is not just exclusive to pigs. Horses. Lighting a horse on fire? Birds. What would that even do? It just like hits a guy in the face? What the f? Oxen and even camels. That's sad. Have all been used throughout history as flaming weapons.
Wait! Today's video is sponsored by Fume.
the leaders in flavored air. I've got my fair share of bad habits. Sure, everybody does. But when it's time to quit, God, I need Fume. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that helps you fill the void when you're ditching a bad habit. The holidays are here, and whether it's for yourself or for a loved one, you can give the gift of quitting with Fume. And the best part is, Fume is not a vape. There's no vapor, which means you can use it anywhere. Plus, there's no nicotine, no toxic flavors, and no batteries involved. And Fume, you're meant to fidget with it, with satisfying snaps and clicks. Fume is there to calm you down when you're feeling anxious. Fume is super easy to use, tasty, and highly satisfying. If you're thinking of giving Fume a try, there's no better time than now. This holiday season, you can give the gift of better habits with Fume. Head to tryfume.com/papameat and use code PAPAMEAT to get a free Fume topper when you order a journey pack. And if you're lucky, you can even win one of Fume's limited edition gold-plated devices this holiday season. Again, tryfume.com/papameat or just scan the QR code on screen to grab yours right now and make somebody's holiday unforgettable. Thank you, Fume, for sponsoring the video, and back to the video. But the strangest use of a flaming animal was during the Chinese and British Opium Wars during the 1800s. I don't know why, dude. Opium dens just make me laugh. People just in a den just like, I like to imagine there's one Chinese guy with blonde hair, looks just like Kurt Cobain. Like f***ed up jeans and stuff. And one of the Chinese officials allegedly suggested strapping firecrackers to the back of monkeys and then catapulting them aboard English ships. They're like, throw a couple black cats on that thing. Let's get this war done. You know the English would hate that too, right? Oh my God! Oh gee God! They tried to kick it off, but it's like. Kick it off! The thought was that the flames would spread rapidly in every direction, and with luck, it might reach the gunpowder magazine, causing the whole ship to blow up. That is such a roll of the die. Throw the monkey aboard. It's gotta hit the powder keg room. I'm almost positive it will. Hey, Curious George. He shows him some gunpowder. Time to smell it. Have him smell it. Go find that. Can you imagine seeing a monkey in the air popping off? So 19 monkeys were bought and properly geared up for their sacrifice, just shy of 20. But when the time came to deploy the monkeys, none of the Chinese soldiers dared get close enough to the enemy ships to fling the monkeys aboard. So instead, the troops fled the town they were defending. Unfortunately, no one knew how to take care of monkeys, resulting in them all of dying of starvation. Do we feed it? Give it a black cat. It's like, we didn't know how to take care of them. They were acting weird. Or we could talk about Taliban monkeys. In 2010, rumors were spread on a Chinese media outlet. That doesn't sound fair. Where do you get your news from? Oh, just a Chinese media outlet. And it was alluding to the Afghan Taliban training monkeys to fight the U.S. military. It claimed that they would be armed with AK-47s and trench mortars, and some would even learn to operate snipers. What is this? Did you make this up? Can you imagine a monkey with like a 50 caliber sniper rifle? It has like a cap on. It's like, their goal was to train them to recognize U.S. military uniforms and fire at them. What are you talking about? In order to train these primate soldiers, it stated that they were using bananas and peanuts as a reward system for their obedience. Hey, Chim Chim, here's the thing. You hit that soda can a mile out, you get a little bit of this. Many scoffed at this rumor, as monkeys simply didn't possess the cognitive ability to be of any use in war, and a NATO spokesperson claimed it was no basis in reality. Yeah!
What's funny is that they made like a 3D render showing the Taliban training them.
You know, there's one guy who's just like, oh my God. He has like a copy of Mighty Joe Young on VHS. We got it prepped for war. Seriously, they're coming for us. Or we could talk about Morocco offers U.S. monkeys to detonate mines. What does that mean? In 2003, Moroccan government officials offered 2,000 trained monkeys to help detonate landmines in Iraq. And by training, the Moroccan government meant that the monkeys could run out and step on a landmine, causing the landmine to detonate and explode the monkeys in the process. That's such false advertising. So you're like, oh my God, these are like smart monkeys. No, they're just be like gonna walk around like that and just blow up in the middle of the desert. Luckily for us, we have better techniques to detect landmines, such as the bomb-sniffing rat. Magawa, the African giant pouched rat, was utilized by Apopo, an organization that trains these types of rats to detect landmines as well as tuberculosis.
Dual purpose.
Explosion. tuberculosis. Kind of weird. It's like the same shit with like dogs can't eat chocolate, but they can smell cancer. What the fuck is up with that? Isn't that weird? When your dog comes up to you and puts his paw on your lap, gives you the Jim Halpert. You're like, oh, fuck, I think I got cancer. Airbud stops dribbling. Due to decades of conflict, Cambodia was riddled with hidden landmines that have yet to be unearthed. This had created a huge risk for those living there. Since 1979, 65,000 people have either been killed or injured due to landmines left over in previous conflicts. That's a lot. 65,000 people? How the fuck do you scatter that many landmines? And now they're like, there's way more. Doesn't that seem like a lot? How much space is there in Cambodia to drop that many landmines? God damn. With proper training, Magawa was able to understand the smells associated with the landmines so that he could alert his owners and have them safely disposed of. Due to his lightweight frame, he could traverse this area without activating an explosion. His reward for finding the mines was a piece of a banana. You saved 6 people.
Yeah, just one piece.
You'll get the whole thing after the day. And during his career, Magawa helped clear over 56 acres of land, roughly 42 football fields of landmines. That's awesome! From 2016 to 2021, he successfully identified 71 landmines and 38 instances of other unexploded ordnance. And in 2020, he was the first rat to receive the PDSA gold medal from Britain, being honored during a virtual ceremony. What the fuck? COVID was a rough time. In just 2021, Magawa retired from bomb sniffing due to old age. For several weeks, he mentored 20 newly recruited rats before fully retiring to a life of snacking on bananas and peanuts. He died peacefully in January of 2022. God, what a hero. What a hero. That made me so giddy. This is going to be an Illumination project in the future. Patton Oswalt's gonna fucking voice it because he voices every single animated character out there. It's gonna be him and fucking, Chris Pratt. But you know what? Sure, Magawa was a good man, died like a hero, and we do have a shrine of him at our studio now. But we need to talk about other animals hunting mines, like mine hunting dolphins. This one seems a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? A fish coming out on land. Rats were the only animals used to sniff out landmines. And in fact, the US Navy began studying dolphins in the 1960s to see if they could use them for war as well. Dolphins were being trained to sniff out underwater mines before using devices to mark them so the Navy could dispose of them safely. This was heavily utilized in the Iraq War in 2003, using dolphins to clear out over 100 mines, as well as use buoy flotation devices to force enemy divers onto the surface. That's kind of fucked up. It's like a guy swimming, the dolphin's like, can you imagine that? The guy's like, put it on and push him. Even discovered mines from World War II were able to be disarmed due to the dolphins' incredible accuracy. And as a reward for their successful finds, they were tossed fish to eat. They were also given healthy diets and exercise frequently, allowing them to live much longer than the average wildlife dolphin. There's no way this is real. There's no way. What is that device on his arm?
Laser.
Is that real?
Yeah.
The U.S. military that would use dolphins for mines treats them better than any SeaWorld or zoo. Is that fucked up? You exercise them daily, and they get the whole ocean to swim in.
And they're heroes. They're war heroes.
And they're heroes, and they get medals. But let's move on to one of America's favorite animals, which is using an army of cats in battles. We're moving on to cats. During the Battle of Pelusium in 526 BC, not gonna say BCE, Nick, before Christ, not before Common Era, bud, the Persian army unleashed a horde of cats to exploit the Egyptians' love for their sacred animal. You dumb son of a bitch. In ancient Egypt, cats were beloved to the point that they were seen as gods with their own laws protecting them. Taking the life of a cat was met with an immediate death sentence. I don't like cats. You know what's weird is I like my barn cats a lot. The cats I have in my house, they piss everywhere. Not everywhere, but they piss sometimes. And you're just like, fucking, like, what do you do all day? You're doing this? My barn cats are awesome. Love them. And they eat mice. Bellies are full.
They're actually working.
They're working all day. And they have a great, they're like running around outside. My inside cats are just like, you know, Jack started pissing on counters by the sink. Why? Why would you do that? And you know what's fucked up? My wife has him on Prozac. My cat's on depression pills right now. I guess I'll go live peacefully and have everything given to me. When the Persians were made aware of the religious importance they had, they were prepared with a cruel strategy to gain the upper hand. Goddamn Xerxes. The Persian army gathered several cats to release ahead of them on the battlefield. Not only that, the cats were painted on their shields as well.
Do you think that tricked them?
Oh, a kitty! Kitty! I wonder what ancient Egyptians would think of that movie Cats vs. Dogs. Would they be upset? Like they'd be like mad at the dogs? Ah! Punching the TV and stuff. Ah! The Egyptians were afraid of accidentally maiming their sacred animals or shooting arrows at the image of them placed upon the shields. This form of psychological warfare resulted in an easy victory by the Persians. What a weird painting. Can you imagine being commissioned to paint this? So it's like a cool battle, or they just paint some cats running across. But this isn't just primitive warfare, my friends. Why don't we talk about Operation Acoustic Kitty from the Cold War? Did you just throw up in your mouth? Because I did. Operation Acoustic Kitty was developed during the Cold War in the 1960s when the CIA attempted to create cyborg spy cats. In an hour-long procedure, a veterinary surgeon would implant a microphone in the cat's ear, a radio transmitter in the base of their skull, and antennas in their fur.
Wires were run up to its ear, to its cochlea, wires to its brain to determine when it was hungry or sexually aroused.
This is all with the hopes of having the cat position themselves near Soviet leaders to eavesdrop valuable intel. You think of like, what do they think these Russians are gonna do? Oh my, this little kitty cat, let me tell you, I'm planning to blow up the world. Former CIA directors like Victor Marchetti described the cyborg cats as monstrosities, as the doctor had to slit the cat open, put batteries in him, and wire him up. Oh, boo-hoo, he's got 9 lives. Marchetti, 9 lives. Project Acoustic Kitty cost about $20 million. What? For the specialized gear and CIA manpower, but the project was considered a failure. $20 million! There's $20 million in that. During the very first test, the cat walked away from the target and was immediately run over by a taxi cab. No! Oh, that's a failure. Well, imagine that being your conclusion. Do the people who are working on this, do they get fired immediately?
We go to the next project.
This very quickly illustrated that they were much harder to train than expected. It was also noted that another problem the CIA had to address was the cat getting distracted by its sense of hunger. Should have gave him some bananas, bitch. This had to be simultaneously addressed in another operation. All right, so we have Acoustic Kitty, that's $20 million, and we're putting $40 million in how to stop cats' hunger. Go. And after 5 years of preparations, the operation was a failure, and the idea of spy cats was abandoned completely. But while we're talking about cats, did you know that there was cat bombs? Not only was there cat bombs, they've used bombs for animals a lot. But we will start with cat bombs, because during World War II, many strange and unique weapons were crafted in order to get a leg up on their adversaries. And one of the strangest suggestions was to construct cat-guided missiles. A U.S. official came up with the idea when he was thinking up ways to improve the Air Force's targeting to enemy battleships. How? His solution was to strap a cat to a bomb and have the cat guide it to the battleship. His thought process was that the cats hate water, so if you dropped it over water, it would instinctively steer the bomb towards the battleship in order to avoid getting wet. He's like, I have a cat at home and he hates our pool. All right? You strap that bad boy to a missile, he's not going to want to go in the ocean. It's a big pool. But it ultimately didn't work, as during testing, it was discovered that cats tend to pass out when plummeting towards Earth. Thus, the cat missiles never got to be used in battle. Or we could talk about Project Pigeon. The U.S. government had a similar idea deemed Project Pigeon. This was an experiment program during World War II that aimed to train pigeons to guide bombs to their targets. Why were they so adamant that these animals would be like, we have to look back to Mother Nature? Here's how it worked. Pigeons were trained to peck at an image of the target on a screen by using food rewards as conditional training. Once again, bananas and peanuts. When the target was on screen and the pigeons pecked the target, food would be dispensed as a reward, and they had a bomb guidance system. A bomb was outfitted with a small chamber containing 3 pigeons. It's so stupid. So we build the bomb, and this compartment right here, this is for the 3 pigeons. Now you see, you see him like going into this. The pigeons pecked at the target image on screen, and their pecking movements adjusted the bomb's flight path via electronic signals, guiding it toward the target. Using 3 pigeons ensured redundancy. If one bird got distracted, the others could maintain accuracy. This system also allowed it, so if one pigeon disagreed with the other 2 pigeons could override his decision. We have to have democracy in the bomb! The National Defense Research Committee saw the idea as too eccentric and impractical, but still contributed $25,000 for the research. This is barbaric! Putting pigeons in a cage in a bomb? No! We'll give you $25,000 for it. I don't think it's gonna work. All right, now how much more do you need for the cats? Have you solved their hunger problems? B.F. Skinner, the project lead, complained, "Our problem was no one would take us seriously." Despite an effective demonstration, ultimately, the project was abandoned. But we move on to rat bombs. This one's a little less fun. The British Special Operations Executive started getting creative with how they hid explosions, with examples ranging from wine bottles to dead rats. And the SOE gathered piles of dead rats, skinned them, and shoved bombs up their ass. before sewing them shut and delivering them to France, which was occupied by Germany at the time. This is a very odd Trojan horse. I heard Germans love bald rats. They love to eat them. They hoped that German forces would see them and toss them into boilers to dispose of them, thus setting up an explosion that would potentially take out an entire military base and steam engines. The mission ultimately failed, but the Nazis still panicked at the discovery of rat explosives and became paranoid of similar attacks. They sent the ones they received to military schools to exhibit them. Can you imagine the teachers? What is this? Oh, we could talk about a much scarier Transylvanian type of bomb, a bat bomb. A similar project was developed in World War II. These are all World War II. All of them were just people were like, birds and beasts with bombs. It was referred to as Project X-Ray, where Mexican free-tailed bats were being used to create bat bombs. And originally, it was touted as the greatest weapon ever dropped from an airplane. After Pearl Harbor, a dental surgeon named Dr. Little S. Adams pitched what he believed to be an ingenious plan to destroy Japan. This plan consisted of attaching incendiary explosives to bats, which would be dropped out of an aircraft to roam the streets and set fires to buildings. As their buildings were mostly made of wood, they thought this would do immense damage to Japanese structures. They worked within the caves of New Caverns, Texas, which was home to over 20 million bats. They clipped bombs set with timers to their chest with a string that they hoped the bats would bite off and leave behind to cause damage. Problems started to arise, leading to a very unimpressive showcase. Bats were not descending properly and would just splat onto the floor, and in one case led to a hangar being set on fire, destroying the car of a general in the audience. Not only that, but inducing hibernation in bats for these experiments were not easy for the time, resulting in many of them simply not waking up. They just died. Due to the disappointing results of the test, Project X-Ray was canceled. Even so, some bats with bombs attached to them had escaped and ended up doing damage to Carlsbad military base as well as Dr. Adams' personal property.
Oh, so he was just doing this in his dentist's office.
He was just sat there. He's just like, we got your root canal. Don't mind the bat droppings. Those are for... I'm working with the government on something big. Has he never seen a bat fly? What is he expecting? Like, birds are graceful, right? Bats are like... Or we could talk about Stalin's kamikaze canines. During World War II, the Soviet army trained dogs to take out German tanks in missions and unaliving missions. Thanks, YouTube. To do this, they would starve dogs and then eventually feed them by putting food under stationary tanks. Using Pavlov's theory, the dogs would now instinctively search under tanks to look for food. The problem arose when the dogs were unable to handle the complicated test scenarios. In a real battle, the sounds of gunfire and tanks easily confused the dogs and sent them into a panic. It was common that they would check under the tank and return with bombs, leading the entire groups of allies being obliterated. Fido not! At times, the dogs would avoid German tanks that reeked of petrol and ran under Russian tanks instead, leading to more unnecessary destruction. Although riddled with errors, these anti-tank dog units were able to destroy hundreds of tanks throughout World War II. So while there was some oopsie daisies, that's just kind of Russian in general. Yeah, we got it done. You killed 50% of your own people. We got it done. All right. These were not the oldest accounts of animals being used as explosives. In 184 BC, snake bombs were utilized during the battle between the kingdoms of Bithynia and Pergamon. During intense naval combat, Hannibal Barca was aware that the Pergamonian forces were far too overwhelming. Because of this, he devised a plan to create a unique type of explosive. He told his fleet to begin filling thousands of clay pots with venomous snakes before launching them at enemy captain's ship, where King Eumenes II was contained. The venomous snakes crashed into the ship and, already provoked, began attacking the terrified soldiers. The entire enemy fleet began to panic, shocked at such an unconventional battle tactic. Among the chaos, Hannibal charged towards the weakened enemy ships and emerged victorious. This one actually seems like it would be a good idea. Is that a pot? Back then, too, people were like, They probably thought it was some like religious thing. Anybody back then, I'm always just like, you know how easy it must have been back then? God did that to me. The gods want me to be bit by a snake, so that's just what it's going to be. It is what it is. But not all animals are just lit on fire or thrown or kill other people. Sometimes the animals are indoctrinated into an army. Sometimes they have them join an army. The humans and animals shake hands and become allies, such as our first example, Wojtek, the bear soldier. Oh my God, that picture is so cute. In World War II was a difficult time for the world. In World War II, a bear named Wojtek joined the 22nd Artillery Supply Company of the Polish Army. Wojtek was an orphan cub that was adopted to Polish soldiers in 1943 by a young shepherd boy who witnessed its parents shot to death by hunters in Iran. What? He was originally purchased as a mascot for the Polish army, and the name Wojtek was given to him, meaning happy warrior. Remember how your parents got shot? You're happy. Look how happy he looks. Over time, he slowly mimicked the human actions of those around him. He learned how to salute and march alongside the soldiers. He was known to ingest cigarettes and drink coffee and beer. Pass out. Dmitry Swaluvgo, a veteran of the 2nd Corps, recalls, quote,
I soon became familiar with Wojciech as we spent much time together. We all loved him, and everyone enjoyed his company. He loved to drink from beer bottle, and when it was empty, he would look through the opening to see where the rest of the beer was. They're like, the Polish army made the decision to enlist Wojciech as a soldier so that he could join them on the battlefield, and this meant giving him a badge, a paybook, and a serial number and ranking. I just want to say this right now. That picture is adorable. Wojciech is adorable. He was able to help during battles by carrying supplies, and apparently during the Battle of Monte Cassino, he single-handedly stacked 100-pound crates of artillery in the middle of a heavy gunfire. In the middle of heavy gunfire, he was a working man.
Apparently, he would actually stack it himself, because it says, like, during training, when he saw people start stacking stuff, he'd go, and like,
weird bear sounds. He's gonna work a whale. He became so useful that he was promoted to corporal, and the 22nd Artillery Supply Company even got customized Wojciech emblems approved to be worn on all their equipment. That is so sick. That is so sick.
that was like Godzilla there.
That's what I love about it. Wojciech retired at the end of World War II, moving to Berwickshire in Scotland with other members of the 22nd Company. They claimed that he, quote, attended dances, concerts, local children parties, and behaved close to a human. As Wojciech got older, it was decided that he would be donated to the Edinburgh Zoo. There, he was visited by his friends on many occasions until he passed away in 1963.
Life of the party.
Life of the party, helper in a war, and then he even helped small businesses and locals. You know what I like about this so far is that we've had 2 goddamn heroes. One small, one big. Magawa and Wojciech. I want a Wojciech patch, dude. Or we could talk about Jackie the Baboon. Jackie the Baboon lived on a farm in South Africa with his owner, Albert Marr, who captured him and raised him to be a member of the family in 1910. This is definitely 1910s energy. There's a monkey. That's my new son. You know what I mean? When war broke out 5 years later, Albert was drafted in the military, but he refused to leave Jackie at home. That doesn't sound sweet. I don't want to leave him. No, it was definitely like, if I'm going, you're going. Jackie's like, oh. So Jackie was drafted. I'll go like, it, fine, give him the documents. So Jackie was drafted alongside Marr and became the mascot of the 3rd South African Infantry Regiment. Jackie was given an official uniform with a cap, a ration set, and his own paybook. God, leave the monkey at home. Look how small he is. Look at this little uniform. Can you imagine the person's like, you're gonna have to make a uniform for a chimp. For a baboon. He would salute his superior officers, stand at ease when commanded, and even lit other soldiers' cigarettes when asked. He also ate his rations with his own knife and fork, as well as washed himself in his own washing basin. Jackie was also quite useful in battle, as he was often used as a night sentry and was often the first one alerted when enemy soldiers were nearby. Jackie saw extensive military combat with his owner Marr, and in one battle, they both survived when the casualty rate was 80%. God, can you imagine dying but the baboon lives? God. In another battle, Jackie tried to construct a wall around himself during extreme enemy fire. I like to think Marr was like, coward! Coward! And unfortunately, a piece of shrapnel flew over the wall and it hit Jackie in the leg and arm. When stretchers tried to take Jackie away, he refused and instead went back to building the wall before hiding. After the battle, doctors treated the wound but had to amputate his leg. Jackie was awarded a Medal of Valor for the event of his injuries and promoted from private to corporal. You know, Marr's just like... After the war, Jackie was discharged and sent back to South Africa with a military pension and a civil employment form. He's a baboon. Come on, man. Here's your papers. Your I mean, we're like, what is he gonna do with this? Sadly, Jackie passed away just a year later in 1921. Jackie wasn't the only baboon that was a part of the South African Army, but he was the only one to achieve the rank of private or higher. You know what? Another hero. Even though I do think that Marr was pissed off the whole time, I don't think Marr got that haiba. He's like, did you build yourself a wall and eat nuts and berries and fruit? He's like, I was in the battles! And you know what? Yeah, we're talking about awesome hero animals. But sometimes man has to go to war with animals, such as the Great Emu War in 1932 in Australia. In 1932, Australia was forced to go to war with an endless horde of emus to protect their land from being destroyed. Emus were known as pests by many, especially to farmers who would often have their crops completely destroyed. And not only that, but their fences would be tampered with too, letting in rabbits to do further harm. Emus and goddamn rabbits. In 1918, this became such
such a serious issue that the government released their status as a protected animal in order to enact a mass thinning of the population. God damn.
The emu must be destroyed.
Local farmers, struggling to survive off their small harvest, waged war on emus, chasing them down and killing them in droves. My God! Oh, I gotta strangle them right here. But this was no easy feat, considering that there was an estimated 20,000 of them. Not only that, but emus could often take several shots before going down. They're like, you're gonna do more than that, motherfucker. Things were bleak, as the emus were never ending. Unemployment and people unaliving themselves, thanks YouTube, rates were reaching shocking heights in 1929, mainly due to the Great Depression. George Pierce, the defense minister, responded to the farmers' pleas by sending 3 army soldiers armed with machine guns to rid the pest problem, which was the dawn of what history called the Great Emu War. At every turn, the soldiers as well as the accompanying farmers would fail to ambush gangs of emus due to the chaotic movements. Trucks were used to gruesomely run over emus, and in one instance, a driver got one of their heads stuck in the steering wheel, resulting in a brutal crash. He's just like... He's like, what the bloody hell's going on here? The soldiers were forced to retreat, abandoning battle after such a pitiful performance. And it was estimated that only 300 were killed in the process. Only 300 emu. And days later, soldiers were redeployed, continuing the slaughter until a staggering 986 emus were taken out within a month of battle. Some claim that these numbers are inflated, possibly due to the embarrassment of being outsmarted by the birds. The emus were responding with war tactics of their own, splitting off into smaller groups, and over time, it became difficult to justify the ongoing battle economically, leading to the final withdrawal from the war. The emus had won, and the reward was a continuation of farmland destruction. Farmers continued to plead with the government for further assistance up until 1948, but to no avail. But eventually, the problem solved itself through complex barrier fencing, but not until after thousands of Australians suffered and lost their livelihoods. The goddamn emus won. That's just that we're ending there. I love that the ending here, you start off by having humans completely destroy the animals, throw them, light them on fire, do whatever you can, and at the end, they're war heroes. You go to war with them and you lose! And sometimes that's just the way it is. But all I know is this, my friends, war is never the answer. The answer is never lighting a pigeon on fire. It's not, that is literally not the answer. So if you're doing some war of your own, I would say leave the aviation firebirds. Leave that on the table. But until next time, everyone, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Ah!